Zachary Turner was only 11 months old when he was murdered by his own mother. He was drugged with lorazepam, a medication used to treat sleep, anxiety, pain, and then was taken into the Atlantic Ocean. So to understand this story, we have to talk about his parents, Andrew Bagby and Shirley Turner. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today we're going to be talking about a Canadian true crime story. I know I haven't posted a lot, but I have been active over on TikTok. So if you want to follow me for some true crime stories, it's jessieberry on TikTok. It's a case of fatal attraction turned into a tragedy. Andrew Bagby was a medical student from California studying in Newfoundland, Canada. He was really nice, easygoing, very kind. He would become a popular doctor, a loving son. He had a very close relationship with his parents, Kate and David. While attending medical school at Memorial University of Newfoundland, he met Shirley Turner in 1999. It was his last year of medical school, while Shirley was already a physician 12 years his senior. Kind of a thing, he was dating an older woman. People, his friends, his classmates did take notice of the age difference. To give you a sense of who Shirley Turner was, she was coined as the witch by fellow doctors and nurses. She also attended Memorial University for medical school, and afterwards she completed a family residency in 1998 to 2000. She did have to do a remedial residency because she missed a few days. She missed some days actually, and she falsified some clinical reports. She was described as hostile and confrontational. A patient said that they would never return back to the hospital after having an interaction with her. The staff would be afraid to be alone with her to give her any feedback or discuss anything serious. Her supervisor would later describe her as a manipulative, guiltless psychopath. Yeah. I know I'm being hard on Shirley right now, but as we continue on with the story, you will not feel any sympathy for this woman. It seemed like Andrew and Shirley had an intense start to their relationship. So former classmates would describe their relationship as she would just kind of appear one day and suddenly she was always there. I think we all know of a couple like this. It didn't seem like his classmates really liked her. It wasn't just the age difference. At that point, she had 3 children as well, and she was divorced twice. It just didn't seem like someone that Andrew would be with. His classmates would describe her as kind of inappropriate, and she would make vulgar jokes, jokes in poor taste. It also didn't seem like he was very into Shirley. It was just more so someone, to be around with, to have like a companion. When they met, he was pretty devastated after a breakup with an ex-fiance. So Andrew and Shirley started dating in 1999. It was his last year in medical school. Afterwards, they began a long-distance relationship, but it didn't seem like it was working out, and Andrew was trying to end things, but Shirley wouldn't leave him alone. At this point, Andrew started a surgical residency in Syracuse, and Shirley had a job in Iowa. In July 2001, Andrew was attending a wedding. People would take note that Shirley was calling him non-stop at least 30 times. Here is a good time to give a little bit background on Shirley and her relationships. So like I said, Shirley already had 2 divorces and 3 children, and she doesn't live with any of her children. They're either with their grandparents, paternal grandparents, or with their father. And she claimed that her past husbands tried to hold her back from her ambitions as a physician, and she was done with that. Power to her. But let's continue. So she did date a younger man before, and he attempted to leave her multiple times, and she stalked him, flat out stalked him. He moved from Newfoundland to Philadelphia, and she followed him there. One day he came home and she was passed out in front of his doorsteps. She overdosed on over-the-counter sleeping pills, and there was blood everywhere because she scraped her wrist, dragging herself up his steps. She had a bouquet of flowers in one hand, and in the other hand she had suicide notes. After that incident, her ex-boyfriend never saw her again. But she got a new obsession, Andrew Bagby. In November 2001, Andrew had enough. He was going to break up with Shirley for the last time. This was it, the final straw. This was not the last time for Shirley. She was like, no, no, no. Days later, Shirley actually showed up at Andrew's apartment at 5:30 in the morning after driving for 16 hours from Iowa. 16 hours, that's completely insane. That is next level. Very, very scary that an ex would do that. So Andrew went to work that day complaining about her to his boss, and he was like, oh, guess who showed up? That crazy bee. And his boss was actually very concerned. And told him to not meet her in person because nothing good was going to come out of this. But Andrew wasn't really that suspicious. After work, Andrew drove to Keystone State Park to meet Shirley at 6 p.m. The next day, his body was found with 5 bullets in it. He was shot in the face, in the chest, twice in the butt, and once in the back of the head. Andrew's parents got the call and they immediately came to Pennsylvania. It was so devastating, but their nightmare only just begun. All the evidence pointed to Shirley. There was a witness who saw her car. The bullet casings matched her handgun. When she was questioned by the police, she told them that she was sick at home in Iowa. However, signals from her cell phone placed her at the driving route between Iowa and Pennsylvania. So pretty open shut. It's a close case, right? But it wasn't that easy because before they could arrest her in Pennsylvania, she fled back to Newfoundland. When she was finally arrested in Newfoundland, she was actually let out on bail. Even though she was facing murder charges in Pennsylvania, the authorities thought that, number one, she wouldn't flee the country. She was unlikely to flee the country. And number two, they didn't consider her as a danger to society at large. Can you imagine what the parents are going through right now, what Andrew's parents are going through right now? This story is only going to get worse, unfortunately. 2 months later, they find out that Shirley is pregnant with Andrew's baby. One thing was clear though, the parents David and Kate wanted custody of Shirley's baby. Andrew was an only child, so this baby would be the last of their bloodline. They also wanted to give the baby a better life because the mother is going to be in prison for murder and the father unfortunately passed away. So now there are 2 legal battles happening. Number 1, extraditing Shirley to Pennsylvania, and number 2, trying to get custody of Shirley's baby. The extradition would delay over and over again. In July 2002, Shirley gave birth to a healthy baby boy and she named him Zachary. Zachary was a happy baby and he had Andrew's strawberry blonde hair. When the grandparents saw him, Kate and David immediately fell in love. So they were able to come to terms with Shirley. They were allowed to visit him once a week under supervision. They shouldn't be communicating otherwise. However, the grandparents would send gifts to the baby, some baby clothes and toys. Shirley would send them baby pictures. But this was incredibly difficult for them. At one hand, they have to be cordial to Shirley in order to stay in contact with their grandson because she had custody over him. And on the other hand, this was the potential murderer of their child. So the legal proceedings continued on. Shirley was finally arrested again and was taken to jail to wait for extradition. But months later, she was somehow released yet again. There were more painful interactions between the grandparents and Shirley, and she definitely didn't make it easy on the grandparents. She would talk to them about Andrew.
Oh, what was Andrew like as a baby? Oh, did Andrew do this as a baby?
It was really, really vile. So the day they were waiting for finally came. She was going to be extradited to the United States. She did, however, appeal the decision, and before the final hearing took place on August 16th, she fed Zachary some formula with lorazepam, and then she took some herself. With him strapped to her chest, she jumped off a fishing wharf into the Atlantic Ocean. When the grandparents found out, they just screamed for hours and wouldn't stop. The last time the grandparents saw Zachary, they were dropping him off at Shirley's place, and it was really strange because she woke Zachary up so that he could say goodbye to his grandparents. So in October 2009, Zachary's bill was introduced to change the Canadian law so that those who are accused of serious crimes can be refused bail in order to protect their children. So that was the story of Zachary Turner, Andrew Bagby, and Shirley Turner. It's incredibly sad and frustrating. There is a really good documentary made by one of Andrew's childhood friends. It's called Dear Zachary. It's really moving, it will make you cry, and I highly recommend it. Let me know what you thought of this case. Have you heard about it before? And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.